My father-in-law just died and now my own family thinks I'm a monster. 3 weeks ago, I got the call that changed everything. My father-in-law Frank had passed away peacefully in his sleep. What I didn't expect was the reading of his will 2 days later. The lawyer read out that Frank had left me his entire estate, over $2 million in property, investments, and business assets. Everything. My husband David got $10,000 and a handwritten note that said, "Actions have consequences, son." The room went dead silent. David's face went white, then red. Then he exploded at me right there in the lawyer's office asking what lies I'd told his father about him. Now I need to explain how we got here because everyone thinks I manipulated a dying man for money. Frank was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 8 months ago. 6 months to live, maybe less. When we got the news, David immediately buried himself in work, said dealing with his dad's illness was too overwhelming and he needed to focus on providing for our future. So I started visiting Frank instead, every Tuesday and Friday for 8 months. I'd bring crossword puzzles, those terrible hospital cookies he loved, and just sit with him when chemo made him too sick to talk. David visited maybe 4 times total, always rushing, always checking his phone. Frank and I became genuinely close. He'd tell me stories about David as a kid, show me family photos, talk about his late wife. But I could see the hurt building every time David canceled another visit or cut a conversation short. Frank would mention how grateful he was that someone still cared enough to show up consistently, how he felt forgotten by his own son. I always defended David, explaining that people process grief differently and that work was his coping mechanism, but Frank wasn't buying it. He'd just nod sadly and change the subject. During our last real conversation, Frank told me I'd been more of a daughter to him than David had been a son. He said he wouldn't forget the loyalty I'd shown when it mattered most. I thought he meant emotionally. I never imagined he meant legally. Now David's convinced I manipulated his vulnerable father. David's extended family think I'm a gold-digging schemer who took advantage of a sick old man. They're talking about contesting the will, claiming I poisoned Frank's mind against his own family. The worst part? I genuinely loved Frank. Our friendship was completely real. He became the father I never had, and I was apparently the daughter he always wanted. But his final gift feels like a curse. I'm financially secure, but completely alone. My marriage is destroyed, my in-laws won't speak to me, and everyone believes I'm capable of manipulating a dying man for money. Frank wanted to reward loyalty and punish neglect. His message was crystal clear, but teaching his son that lesson might have cost me everything else. I'd give every penny back to have my family again. But Frank made his choice, and now I'm living with the consequences. Should I give it all to David anyway? Was Frank wrong to do this? I honestly don't know what's right anymore.